Congress approved more money to help people affected by the coronavirus. House members arrived at the Capitol wearing face masks and were told to stay 6 feet apart. The bill includes more than $320 billion for the Paycheck Protection Program, first passed last month. It quickly ran out of money because of unprecedented demand. Congress also approved billions of dollars to help hospitals and boost testing for the virus. The fight against the virus will be with us for many months to come. Our Robert Hadlock spoke with Texas Congressman Michael McCaul, who's the lead Republican on the House Foreign Affairs Committee. He gave us his perspective on efforts to prevent future outbreaks and his perspective on the push to go back to work.
Congressman, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Robert.
Millions of Texans under a stay-at-home order right now, and a lot of people are sick and tired of sitting at home. They want to get back to work. What are you hearing from your constituents on this, and what are ways to move forward on this issue, getting people back to work?
Well, I flew back to Washington to get back to work. I think a lot of people are anxious to get back to work, but I think we also need to do this with the safety and welfare of all Texans in mind. I think this is going to be one of those balances you have between the safety of Texans versus, getting back to work at the same time. I think that's why the testing piece is so important, that the more we know who has this and who's had it already and who they've been in contact with, the sooner we can get people back in the workplace. And that's why I think the governor's taken a good approach of trying to balance safety versus the economy.
You sent out a letter, Congressman, to your constituents last weekend that talked about your concerns about bioterrorism, basically saying the current pandemic is a reminder of how destructive viruses can be. What do you think needs to happen moving forward to keep Americans safe?
I do think travel restrictions in a time of pandemic. I wrote a book, actually it's right behind me, Failures of Imagination, about 5 years ago, and one of the chapters was dedicated to a pandemic. We have always worried about a pandemic, whether that be man-made, being a bioweapon, or in this case, probably more of a natural virus that has evolved and mutated in these wildlife wet markets. Of course, there's the issue of the lab that we're looking at as well, and whether it accidentally could have leaked out of the lab. But we've seen the devastation. I mean, a nuclear bomb could take out, say Houston or New York City. This has been a biological bomb that's impacted the entire globe. If you'd written about this in a fictional way a year ago, no one would have believed it. But here we are today in just a complete devastation to the entire world, both economically and from a health standpoint. Hundreds of thousands of people have died from this. And, we're getting up into the millions of people who've been impacted by it.
Do you think China should be punished in some way?
I think China needs to be held accountable. I'm working with the State Department in an investigation into what happened. Why is that important? We don't want to see it happen again. There's an interesting timeline that when this virus was first detected in early December, there were 8 doctors in China who were detained, arrested, and they got retractions from them. They were simply trying to raise the alarm bell that we have a different virus, that this one is not the flu, and it's very deadly. They, in return for that being truthful, a gag order was placed on them, and then the Chinese Communist Party went in and shut down the lab and the lab samples all throughout the country, trying to control this investigation. Robert, we had a window of time, a period where this could have been contained in China. And instead, they allowed their spring lunar festival, New Year's festival, to take place, where millions of people traveled outside of Wuhan and outside of China internationally. And that's the point where it went from a local epidemic in China to a global pandemic threatening the world.
We have to leave it there. Congressman Michael McCaul joining us from Washington. Thanks for being on State of Texas with us.
Thanks so much, Robert. Good to be here.
A bipartisan group of lawmakers is considering whether to let members of Congress vote remotely. They say it's a way to keep members safe and the people they represent.
What we're concerned about is spreading the virus, basically violating the very CDC rules that we're asking everybody else to follow. Now, we are essential workers, so to speak, because we've got to keep the government going, but there are modern ways to have plans to work remotely. Major businesses do it. The Supreme Court is doing it. There's no reason why Congress shouldn't do it.
Republican Chip Roy says Congress needs to get back to business in person to set an example for the country.
We need to be present. We need to debate. We need to look each other in the eye. We need to have the kinds of conversations you have when you do it on the floor of the House or in committees. And so we need to set up the protocols for us to be able to engage, just like we're asking hospitals to do, just like we're asking workers in HEB and Randall's and the supermarkets across the country to do. If we can engage to be able to figure out how to go get food, if we can engage to figure out how to deliver services that we think are, quote, essential, then I think the essential nature of Congress to lead the country, we ought to be here working in person and do our job.
Democratic leaders had planned to vote on a measure to allow remote voting, but they backed off after Republicans voiced their opposition. As the governor prepares his plan to reopen the state, many Texans find themselves out of a job. We'll talk to the director of the Texas Workforce Commission to find out how the state's handling a backlog of claims and a surge of people looking for work.